Right, so today I want to make a video about why our current system of running society, basically, and the whole democracy system doesn't work, and I'm not really going to come up with offer a big solution on why it's what we should do, because I don't want to get into that in a video like now, which I know is something that a lot of people would point out. Why would you bring up a problem and not offer a solution? I do think that my solutions are in other videos, and I will make videos about the solutions, and I just wanted to make a video that isn't too long. But basically, the reason why politics, or the current system of running, that democracy, quote unquote, does not work is that politicians have to choose, and people have to choose between telling the truth and doing what is right, which often doesn't serve one's immediate self-interest, both the politicians and the people, and what's more long-term sustainable and better for your grandkids and whatnot. So the typical situation would be nowadays, I think the best way to put it is that you have an example of the national debt, of welfare, of in countries like Canada, you have the socialized healthcare, in that the amount of money that's spent on these things is completely unsustainable. I know in provinces in Canada, we're spending almost, um, it's projected within the next 10 years that we're spending as much on healthcare as the next three leading things combined. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that the way of spending money on these things is completely unsustainable. We're spending way more than we have, and the prices aren't even going to go down. We have baby boomers that are only getting older. They're only going to need more money for healthcare, more money for this government service, that government service. And this brings up the problem of, you have a politician who has to choose between continuing these programs or expanding these programs, which are typically politicians on the left, but I think the right is close to as bad. And you have to choose between telling the truth, and that telling people that, hey, we can't keep going down this road, we need to cut these programs somewhat or entirely. And the problem that then you would run into is that it's very unpopular to offer an opinion like that, because people don't want to lose something that they perceive that they've contributed to, even though most people who've contributed to these things have done it under the guise of, you're going to get it all back, when in reality the government just takes it and spends it, and they give you these services from debt or from board money or whatever it takes. Um, so, like I said, politicians have to choose between doing the right thing and telling people, hey, we need to cut these programs because we can't afford it long term, or continuing it and being more popular, which is the problem, that if you tell people that we need to cut these things, you're going to be very unpopular, and you're 99% chance you don't get voted in, and you probably don't even get enough relevance to be taken seriously. And this is where you see in the Canada, the People's Party of Canada, how they're proposing that we need to cut spending on these kind of things. And I do think that they have a decent amount of popularity, but in the mainstream, they're totally shredded on a daily basis as every bad name in the books, when in reality they're doing something that's very rational, and that we can't keep spending this amount of money because we're going into so much debt, and the prices aren't ever, it's not as if it's a temporary debt, like, hey, 10 years from now we're going to be able to cut back and make this money back. It's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse until it blows up. But the problem comes in is that politicians recognize that this is unpopular with people. And the reasoning for that is that we've had growing amounts of this kind of thing in the last 50 years or so, to where we went from slightly liberal with these kind of policies to full-on socialist with pretty much every one of them, and that personality and political affiliation is to some degree genetic, which means whichever political system you currently have, it means that more people are going to be more likely to be genetically predisposed to believe in whatever political system is currently going, which means that the further we continue down this route, the more likely or the more and more people we're going to have who are aligned with whatever political side. Like nowadays it's to the left, and they recognize this. They'll viciously attack anyone who points this out, but they recognize it, and the left relies on this kind of thing to get elected. They rely on the fact that uh, the lower IQ populations, the immigrants, uh, vote for them, which is why they want to bring them in for the main reason, at the very least. And they also recognize that the longer they can keep these policies going, the more likely people are going to be born, and the more likely that people are going to be genetically altered to want to support these policies. So the longer they can keep them going, the more support they're going to get, which means the less pushback they're going to get. So that's basically the gist of what I wanted to talk about, is that the biggest problem in modern society, or modern political, or the ways of running political systems, is that politicians have to choose between doing the right thing and being extremely unpopular and most likely not winning, and doing the wrong thing and being popular and probably winning. And obviously we get this system of that most people choose the pander to what's popular so you can gain power. And maybe they think that, oh, I'll get in and I'll do the right thing, but then they get in and they get a cushy salary and they're super popular and they got a bunch of friends, and they recognize that, if I push back, I'm probably going to lose this cushy salary. I'm probably going to lose a lot of friends. The media is going to go after me, which the media is very biased to the left nowadays. So that's kind of what I wanted to get at, is that until we can recognize that the current way of doing things isn't correct, and that democracy is a very bad system with a welfare state, free healthcare, all this kind of stuff needs to be either drastically reeled in or got rid of altogether. We're going to keep spiraling and spiraling and spiraling until it collapses, basically. And the problem is that because of recency bias and things like that, they don't think that it's ever going to collapse, because, hey, we've been doing it for 10, 15 years, 20, 30 years even, and it's been going all right. But that they don't recognize that in history, every time that societies have continued to go into more and more in debt and become more and more nihilistic in a way, it's blown up. Look at Rome. Look at pretty well anywhere that's gone into massive amounts of debt, that's been giving people resources for less and less and less than what it should take. They always blow up. And I just wanted to make this video to say that if we don't fix this way of doing things, then it's gonna all blow up. So that's basically all I had for today. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.